Hi, I'm Jessica Kramer. So for my reflection today, let's go through the questions. What did I learn? I have to say, and I know I said this in my post, but I just want to make sure that I really say this, that I went into this assignment and the resources planning to just completely just skim through them like you would I don't have time for this, let me just skim through these and get the answers. Well, as I was skimming to begin with, I started to really read the first resource, the prologue and the chapter 1 of the Black Ants and Buddhists, and I really it really hit home with me because I haven't had something so in depth happen to me before, but I definitely have had a similar situation where one conversation with a student became tumbled and just became this really long couple month long process, and we just did so much research on it and we discussed it so much, and it was something that the parents were engaged with, and that there ended up being an end result, and the end result was just the sweetest, cutest thing. And then even after that we can still continue to discuss it, and it wasn't anything as amazing as the Black Ants. It was more about tattoos and things, but it really was just such a wonderful experience for me because that was the first experience that I had ever had with students truly being engaged with something and following through so much that they went out of their way to ask as many questions as possible instead of me having to ask them so many questions. And that was something else that I really noticed in her story, was that she wouldn't bring up the Black Ants and Buddhists, but the students would bring it up to anybody that listened to it. And so I really, from that, I took that it's really important to listen to your students and to be really engaged in their conversations and to not always just immediately react. It can be really easy to just be just don't squish the bugs, or squish the bugs, throw them out. But she really took the time to really listen to the one student that was no, don't squish them, they're a real life. That kind of answers question number 2, how did I learn it? And another thing that I learned that I thought was really awesome, more to do with the social studies aspect of everything, was in the second article, the history, doing history, past, present, and future. I really learned a lot more of what social studies should be. I definitely had more of the typical stereotype social studies is you go, you learn about history, you learn some dates, you take a test, you take some notes, those kinds of things. But it was really interesting to read these different perspectives of what history is. And I'm sorry, I have some notes. One of my 2, 3, I guess, are my biggest the biggest takeaways for me from that were that history is interpretive. And I really loved this because oh no, it was in the next story, but it kind of goes along with this. History is interpretive, and it's a really great way to engage students with the topic or the content that you're teaching them, because you can really explore all the different views of history, and you can encourage the students to do that. And one way that I noticed in the third article was that he mentioned that he would have a lesson where he would compare different textbooks version of the same event, and how different textbooks write it a different way, or maybe they have a different aspect of it that wasn't talked about in the first textbook. And I think that's an amazing lesson that I will take with me for sure, and I will try to implement at some point. And I can see that being really engaging, and students being really interested in it, because it was interesting to me too. Another thing was that I was reading was that narratives are really important for students because it gives them something to relate to. It gives them something to this was a person and they're telling me their story, and that's what students can relate to the easiest. Another one was that history can be subjective, and I feel that this kind of goes along with interpretive, but in a different way. This portion of history is a really great way to bring up that, and a great way to explain it too, is that history is subjective because you're only hearing one part of a story from one person, and you're only hearing another part of the story from another person. For example, a war. We hear our side of the wars that we've been in, but we don't know what another country is telling their students about the war, what they are learning about it, and maybe they're telling something completely different because from their side of the story, something different happened. So a really great way that I thought of to bring this up is like, if something happens out on the playground, two students have an altercation and they both come to the teacher and they're like, so and so said this and so said this and they did this to me and they did that to me. That's a perfect way to explain it. Both of the students came to the teacher and they both had a version of the story that was true, but each of their versions was just enough different that they were different. You know, like this one said he pushed him, this one said he didn't, but maybe this one thought he did, but he tripped or something along those lines. And it's important for students to know that not everybody's correct, but everybody can have a voice, and that we need to take the time to like really dig deep and to find what the truth is. Another thing that I really took away was to not avoid controversy. Like, it's really important to let the students be aware of the things that are controversial in the world. My video is running really long and I'm really sorry, but to evaluate my preparation of like engagement with the course this week, I'll be really honest, I had an emergency in my family. My mom passed away on Tuesday, and so I waited way too long to get into the material, and I just did all of it today, but that was like a one-time thing, and I'm gonna definitely not do that again, because whoa. My expectations are that I will be able to, my goal is that like my assignments will be done by like Thursday or Friday, and then I will respond to my peers on Saturday or Sunday. And I know that that's not always going to be realistic because I'm taking 5 courses, but it's my plan and I'm putting it out there. It's going to happen. Right now, I don't really think I have any questions, but I'm super grateful that our textbook is free online, but already I'm in love with it. Like, do you think it would be a beneficial resource for me to buy and to just have, or do you think it's one of those textbooks that like I'm going to read this one time and then probably never go back to it? I think that's it. I don't have any other questions or anything. I'm actually really excited for this course because history was always a subject that I really enjoyed, and I would really love to learn some new like ways to engage students in history that isn't just teaching them dates and history, like events that happened and this and that. I really want my students to be aware of the world around them and to be like productive members of society that are able to be respectful and to just be aware of what's going on in the world. Thank you so much.